Would you say that from a high level perspective, one of the main key differences is that the infinite banking concept is more of a philosophy slash strategy, and the and asset is more of like actually is a product.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
Amazing,
say a process and strategy, whereas the and asset is a philosophy around a product. It's
amazing,
not
and
the and asset in itself is not a strategy. It could be an element, a Lego block to a strategy, but it's it's like just to take life insurance out of it. If you had like a super account, a super great account, like a savings account that gave you all these benefits, that's not a strategy, but that could be a tool that someone could use in a strategy.
so then I'm interested then in your perspective. Would you say that real estate is an and asset then because of all the strategies and benefits that could come with it, such as protection, tax benefits, control from a liquidity perspective if you can borrow against it, appreciation, right? And so that's why I'm just curious
Yeah.
genuinely. Like I actually
The
don't know these answers, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to get super technical about what is an asset, and then if you take the and, real estate's more of an and asset than maybe other assets out there. When we talk about and asset from a brand, we're talking about life insurance,
For sure.
specifically whole life insurance and how we structure it. But that's just a made up word. I mean, we're just taking two
Always.
words that are very common and just trademarking it and saying like this is what it means. But I think the and concept is something that we should apply to almost anything. Is if there's other benefits that you can factor into something that by definition makes that asset maybe more valuable than just the stated rate of return.
So essentially, what we can say is that real estate could be an and asset, but life insurance is the specifically and asset that we talk about, and specifically whole life insurance designed in a special way. And so then now I want to come back and actually ask the next question because I know people that are maybe new that to the show maybe want to know like what makes the and asset different than maybe regular life insurance? Or is the
Yeah.
asset class as a whole, regardless of how it's designed or structured, is that still an and asset?
Mm-hmm. This is where it gets a little gray because we're not saying like what Nelson in his book talks about an example of 40% base, 60% PUA, dropping the PUA rider after a certain couple of years and kind of as the baseline example. And when you don't give a clear black and white example like that, it can get a little grayer. But the reason we don't share that is there's a lot of different scenarios of how to design life insurance that's optimal to you. And it really just comes down to what you're trying to optimize for and then designing an insurance policy to best help you with that with the portion of funds that you want to dedicate to that. And so the idea is if the and asset is supposed to optimize the jobs that your dollars are giving in an insurance contract, you just whatever you're trying to optimize for, that should be the goal, and then you try to best optimize for that outcome. And so the an example could be some people might optimize for like they're very entrepreneurial, they want capital to be able to deploy in deals. They're probably going to spend more time on early liquidity and access to their funds. They might even like ideas of certain flexibility in PUA funding and all. So like that's that. But then when it comes to like other people might optimize like retirement income, or they might optimize for like estate planning or like legacy. And the way that you would design a life insurance contract actually would be a little different in those cases. And so the and asset is how do you maximize the jobs that you give your dollar in a life insurance contract based on what you're trying to optimize for or your desired outcome. So it's with that, the downside to this is we've had people use our videos and use our book to sell things that make you cringe. That's why the only way to really make sure that you're getting it done right is if you work with us, or someone who's certified from Better Wealth. It doesn't make any. There's other people that aren't certified that are great. It just sometimes from a quality perspective that's tricky, and it really comes down to what you're trying to optimize for. And if you don't get really clear about what you're trying to optimize for, you can't set up a perfect policy because the perfect policy design is predicated on the outcomes that you're trying to accomplish.